Look, the reality is we're going through some very challenging times at the moment, and most of the focus has been on, physical well-being, quarantining, and economics. But the reality is this is also a mental health crisis and a well-being crisis. If you quarantine people in their homes for long periods of time, you're going to get some problems. We already see in anecdotal evidence that domestic violence rates are going up as people are quarantined at home. Rates of alcoholism and substance use are going up as people are quarantined at home. But we actually see evidence of this in the supermarkets already, the panic buying. And it's not just toilet paper, which, in many instances doesn't really make sense, but panic buying of a whole range of non-perishable items. So this is just the beginning. This is just kind of the tip of the iceberg. As people are quarantined for longer periods of time, and the Prime Minister has already told us 6 months is what we need to start expecting. So we started to think through what that meant. Having worked in a hospital, we knew that 6 weeks in a hospital bed is a time when people really start to get very serious mental health problems. So let's think about what it is that we could do to undermine or prevent, I guess, the mental health consequences of people being at home. So Stream was born out of that discussion. Most of the discussion happened in my head, I have to say, but it actually comes off the back of a lot of wellbeing interventions that we've been running in partnership with the SAHMRI Wellbeing and Resilience Centre. So we've been running programs for wellbeing here for students. And our student population actually is a pretty broad population. It's got lots of mature age students, like 40% of them really. So it's got a very broad range. We have a lot of people who are parents with young children. So a lot of the, I guess, issues and challenges and strategies that we came up with are relevant across the whole population, including elderly people. We wanted to keep it as simple as possible, down to literally 6. STREAM, stream. Each of the letters stands for a particular activity. So S is for social networking, right? What we should be doing is physically distancing ourselves from people, but not socially. There is a lot that you can do if you're at home. I mean, you could ring someone. Social media is already there. We all use it. Facebook, WhatsApp, whatever. Zoom, Skype. There are services that we can use. I remember having friends who are overseas, and we kind of miss them. And quite often, what we would do is we'd have Skype dinners or coffee and cake. So we'd have lots of conversations about what they were eating, what we were eating, and we'd start to catch up on each other. So it made the distance a little less problematic. We see a lot of this happening amongst, armed forces, people who are stationed overseas. We see it with particularly grandparents who might be overseas and want to touch base with their children. And psychological research actually has shown that the attachments that we have to people are not compromised by the mere fact that you're digitally connecting with people. So we think that this is a really important aspect of this. The second aspect of this is T. And T is actually for time out, because when you're in a small space with people, people start to get on their nerves. We see this at school holiday time, right? We see this all the time. So my advice to people is just timetable in some time out. Some time out for yourself to just have a nap, do some relaxation, and we'll get onto that. Maybe read a book, and we'll get onto that. To just do something that is meaningful for you, and just to kind of separate out from the hullabaloo that's going on in the house. And if schools close down, that will be a particularly challenging time for parents. R, STR, okay, so R is for relaxation. And there are lots of ways that you can relax. It's not just relaxation exercises per se. You could do some yoga at home, you could do some Pilates, you could do some mindfulness exercises. You just get online. Do you know what? There are so many mindfulness exercises, relaxation exercises online, right? YouTube, all sorts of services have these, and they're free. So I think it's a really good idea. Relaxation exercises help you to manage anxiety, tension, stress. These things will happen if you're locked up at home. They will also happen if you're reading or watching too much television. And people will have their TV services, their news services on 24/7, much like we all did during the 9/11 crisis, right? What this does is that this increases anxiety, and it maintains anxiety the whole day. You actually need to find other activities to do to distract yourself. So this takes us to the E, S-T-R-E. E is about exercise and entertainment. You need to exercise. You need to burn off some of that excess energy. Many people have got backyards, so great. It's safe to go out into the backyard, right? But actually, you can do lots of stuff at home. And again, if you have any kind of uncertainties about it, online, there are whole exercise regimes that you can follow. Maybe this is a time to start instigating some health strategies, to start getting fit. Now, you might think, well, that's a bit out there, isn't it? Well, no, it's really part of the next bit, which is the A. But before I go on to the A, so we talked about exercise, but actually entertainment is really important. Streaming services. I mean, everyone's got a streaming service nowadays. If not everyone, many people do. But of course, if you are online and you are digital, you know, you can either access that, you can access other things on YouTube, you can access music, you can access all sorts of things. Read. I mean, just get up, get some old books out, start reading. Or hobbies. Pick up a hobby. Maybe you've always wanted to take up painting. Maybe you've always wanted to take up wood cutting. Maybe you've always wanted to do something. This is now the time to start doing it, because Gunner is not going to cut the mustard here. You've got lots of time, and of course, if you are going to be working, it's a good idea to kind of have a little workspace too. So that's entertainment and exercise. A is really about having an attitude change, or having very positive attitudes. I think a lot of us will be feeling pretty angry, pretty frustrated about being at home, but that's not going to be very helpful to anyone. Maybe this is an opportunity, right? Positive thinking is one of the best indicators of well-being and protection from mental health challenges, right? So have a positive attitude. If you do find yourself getting tense, and we've seen it in supermarket rage, road rage, we see it all the time. We'll see it at home when people are having arguments with their children or their partners. You need to rethink this. You need to say to yourself, take a deep breath, exercises, right, and relaxation exercises, and say, is there a better way, a more helpful way, an alternative way of thinking this through, so that I'm not making the worst of this situation, that we can at least make the best of this situation. And the longer you make the best of the situation, the longer you can last in that situation, and the better the outcomes will be for you and for everyone else. If you have a positive attitude and use your time positively and meaningfully, what will happen is we won't see the domestic violence rates going up. We won't see the family conflict going up. We won't see the substance use and alcoholic use prevalences go up. The M really is about being mindful of others. Acts of kindness. Check in on your neighbour, right? Your neighbour is actually the person who's most likely to be able to check in on you, because families are at a distance. Some families don't actually have digital means of communication, or telephones might be difficult to access, or if there are telephones, actually you can't see them. So it's not the same. You need some contact. So a little discussion over the fence, The other thing is that there are neighbours who actually have particular needs, elderly, sick neighbours who are undergoing cancer treatment and are immunosuppressed and really can't get out. Just check in on them. Cook a meal. There are people out there who won't be working, who will be out of a job, who won't be able to afford, Uber Eats or whatever. Cook a meal. Make it, if you're able to do so, share it out. Being mindful of other people is not only good for other people, actually the acts of kindness improve our well-being our sense of having living a meaningful life, and will help not only our neighbours flourish and our people that we're helping out flourish, it will help us flourish during this period. And flourishing during a challenging period is the best way to protect yourself from any kind of future mental health problems and mental health challenges. So they're my kind of 6 bits of advice. They're pretty simple. What we're arguing for at the moment is to try and develop online supports for this, to help people, just give them some more specific detailed hints around each of those 6 elements, and then to add other elements, particularly of elements that we know are useful in wellbeing programs.